Today we are going to talk about the grammatical shifts, which are the changes made in the grammatical pattern of the sentence or its elements as required by the target language rules. Grammatical shifts are applied in translation for several reasons, and first of them, and probably the most important one, is complete or partial discrepancy of grammatical categories, forms, and features of source language and target language. For instance, some grammatical categories and forms of the English language are not found in Ukrainian and vice versa. We already discussed the verbals, in particular gerund, which is not found in Ukrainian. We don't have articles in the Ukrainian language, and English doesn't have any adverbial participle. But even within the parts of speech that are found in both languages, there are great differences in their grammatical categories. And I would like to talk, I will not go into much detail, but I must say a couple of words about the grammatical categories of the verb, because the verb actually presents the greatest number of difficulties in translation, and these difficulties cause quite a lot of translation mistakes. So what do I mean by grammatical categories? Grammatical categories of the verb, I think you remember them. They are tense, aspect. Probably you haven't heard of taxis, but you obviously know that English has perfect forms and Ukrainian doesn't have this. And voice, person, and number. We are going to look at tense, the category of tense, the category of aspect, and the category of taxis now. If we look at the category of of tense in English and Ukrainian, we should remember that both in English and in Ukrainian, we've got present, past, and future. In English, what we call present continuous, past perfect, present perfect continuous, and so on, these names include different categories altogether, but there are still only 3 tenses, which is present, past, and future. And future is disputable because for different reasons, scholars consider that future does not exist in the English language. I will say a couple of words about that. But tense is something that refers to the moment of speaking, at the moment of speaking, before the moment of speaking, or after the moment of speaking. The thing is that this category of tense is closely connected with the category of aspect. If you remember, in grammar books, English tenses are called tense aspect forms. It means that not only tense, but also aspect is found in any grammatical form. What is aspect? It's categoria виду. In Ukrainian, it is distinct, well-separated category, and it is expressed by perfective and imperfective verbs. Дієслова доконаного і недоконаного виду. The definition itself and the name itself give an idea that in Ukrainian, a verb can be either perfective or imperfective. In English, we've got different aspects too. but they are not about anything perfective and imperfective. They're about continuous and simple. So the distinction between continuous and simple verb form in English is the manifestation of the category of aspect. If we look at these aspects and compare them with perfective and imperfective verbs in Ukrainian, we can see some correspondence because imperfective and continuous, they somewhat coincide, not completely, but overlap. Something which is not finished, something which is in the process. And but at the same time, they overlap only partially, which, or the word overlap actually means, and we cannot say for sure that imperfective verb in Ukrainian will be translated by the continuous form in English all the time. But still, I will remind you, читав, прочитав. Читав can be translated with the help of continuous, was reading, but also with the simple, past simple, read. So there isn't direct and complete correspondence between these aspects. The other category which is unique for English, I mean, compared to Ukrainian, of course, it's not unique in terms of other languages, but it's the category of taxes or the category of perfect. Sometimes it's within the aspect categories, sometimes with the tense categories, but I think that it's only natural to put it to consider it separately because it has nothing to do with tense or aspect. So the category of taxes is something which some scholars call relative tense, which is the relation between different actions in the within one sentence, or the relation of an action to a certain point in the present, past, or future. And if something, and if the action has been completed by a certain point in the present, past, or future, we use the perfect tenses. And we don't have them in Ukrainian. Another reason is the frequency of the use of corresponding forms in target language and source language. For example, the studies show that the possessive pronouns in English are used 5 times as often as in Ukrainian. And the passive voice of the verb is more than 4 times more commonly used in English than in Ukrainian. You have probably noticed that possessive pronouns are really frequent in English texts, and it makes a Ukrainian translation quite awkward if we translate all of them. So sometimes they're omitted, sometimes they are replaced by the nouns or and including proper names, and sometimes they're translated by possessive pronouns or the pronoun svi. But be very attentive which of these 3 ways of rendering is appropriate. So the passive voice, you probably know that it's more common in English, and also, but now it's very funny that if you've noticed, Grammarly has translated, I'm sorry, I was a bit distracted. Grammarly recommends the users not to use passive voice so much, yes, and usually reflects it as disadvantage of the text. But we shouldn't rely on the software so much. I think it's this is what makes us quite I don't know, unique, and the way we are writing in English is our own style. If we find it important to use the passive voice, but we should be considerate. Yes, if it's not needed really, then we may avoid it, especially that now we know that it's not characteristic of the Ukrainian language so much as it is of the English language. Next reason is different grammatical combinability of words in the languages. We were talking about the combinability of lexical combinability, yes, but also this is also called the rules of government and agreement between the words and so on. Especially it is the use of cases in English and Ukrainian. You know that in English we officially don't have cases except genitive case or possessive case, right? Nominative and genitive or possessive. In the Ukrainian we've got 7 of them, and but the thing is that like anything else in grammar, if something is missing in the language, it is compensated by other means. So English lacks endings, inflections, and it's the reason for the case category of the noun to be not representative in English. But what is a case? Case is something that reflects the relations between objects, or the relation between the action and the object. So these relations are characteristic of any language because they reflect the relations of the objects of the world. Yes, and that's why we can find the manifestation of any case in English very easily, but these manifestations are expressed by prepositions or word order. Also, there are some differences in communicative functions. Just some kinds of sentences that are found in everyday speech, or it's the fixed way of putting words together. And we should remember that if we use calc translation, it will sound awkward. So it will be understandable, but people will think we don't say so. We wouldn't say so. So will you open the window, please? Is the question in English, and it is a polite request. In Ukrainian, it is the affirmative sentence. Відчиніть, будь ласка, вікно. And so the same can be applied to other politeness formulas. It is old-fashioned expression, of course. Excuse my gloves. So you won't find this in modern life, but speaking about earlier days, it was quite widely used. So excuse my gloves, excuse my hat, excuse my saying so, and so on. The translation would be more extended sentence. Вибачте, що не знімаю рукавички, що не знімаю капелюх, що Говорю вам про це.